In this video, we are going to talk about decimals and how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide them. So whenever we want to add or subtract decimals, we always remember to line up the decimal points. Line up the decimal points. So here's an example on how we would add decimals. So let's say that we have 3 8/800 plus 2 1/10. Okay, if you notice, we lined up the decimals. The decimals are stacked on top of each other, but we have this blank spot here. And in my class, I say, what do we have to fill? I call it a pothole. And I say, what do we have to fill a pothole with? And my students know that we have to put a 0 placeholder there. I just call it a pothole because it's like a missing hole and we need to fill it in. Okay? All right, and then we're just going to add just like we add normal numbers. So for this part, I actually have a friend with me. Her name is Peyton, and she's going to help us out today. So, Peyton, what is 8 plus 0?
It's 8.
Very good. And what is 0 plus 1?
It's 1.
Nice. What is 3 plus 2?
It's 5.
5. Very good. And then the last part that we need to remember to do is to bring the decimal point straight down. So that's how you add and subtract decimals. Subtraction is basically the same thing. You're going to line up the decimal point, so I'm not going to do an example of that. The other example that I want to give you today is how to multiply. So when we multiply decimals, we always line up the digits. Okay, so it's a little bit different. We're not going to line up the decimal points. We're going to line up our numbers or our digits. So let's say that we have those same numbers. We have 3 8/800 times 2 1/10. And you can see right here, because they're next to each other, how different that's going to look, because we lined up the decimal points here and we're lining up the digits here. So it is going to look different than adding and subtracting. Okay? And then in our other video, we showed you how to do turtle head math. So we can use this for decimals too. We have 1 times 8, which is 8, 1 times 0, which is 0, and 1 times 3, which is 3. Draw our collar, lay our egg. 2 times 8 is 16, carry our 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. Add up those numbers, 8, 6, 4, and 6. Okay? And then this is going to be the only thing that's different than regular turtle head multiplication. We need to figure out where the decimal point goes in our answer now. So in order to do that, we are going to count how many places over the decimal point is in both of our numbers. So in this first number, 2 places over is the decimal point. And in this number, the decimal point is over 1 place. So we're going to add 2 plus 1, which gives us 3. And that it tells us how many places over our decimal point goes in the answer. So 1, 2, 3. Our final answer is 6 468 thousandths. So that's adding, subtracting, and multiplying. There's one more, which is dividing. I'm going to flip the paper over so we have more room. So to divide, I have taught my students a little rhyme or a little saying to help them remember what to do. So this is the saying. If the decimal point is on the side, we're going to slide. Okay? If the decimal point is in the house, we need to raise it to the roof. So if the decimal point is on the side, we're going to slide. If it's in the house, we're going to raise it to the roof. So let me show you what that looks like. And we always do it in this order. So we slide first and then raise it to the roof second. So let me show you here in this example. Let's say we have 6 7/500 divided by 4 5/10. Okay? So here it says there's a decimal point on the side. So we need to use that first part of our saying, which says if it's on the side, we're going to slide, slide. So that means that we're going to take this decimal point and we're going to slide it until this number becomes a whole number. And whatever I do to this number, I have to do the same to this number. That's why it's slide, slide. So we're going to take this decimal point and slide it once also. Then, since this is all messy and really confusing now, I'm going to rewrite my problem where the new decimal points are. So now I have 45, and I have 67 and 5/10. So here's where the second saying comes in. So now I have a decimal point inside my house, which is here. So I'm going to take my decimal point and I'm going to raise it to the roof. Okay? Then I'm going to divide just like normal. So I'm going to use my dad, mom, sister, brother, Rover. So I'm going to say 45 cannot go into 6. We can't do that, so we put an X there. 45 can go into 67, which is 1 time. Check it off. Multiply. 45 times 1 is 45. Check it off. Subtract. And we're left with 22. Bring down my 5. Repeat. 45. Divide again. 45 goes into 225 5 times. Multiply 45 times 5, which is 225. Subtract, which is 0. We have nothing to bring down, and we have no remainder. So our final answer here is 1 and 5/10.